Welcome to Albuquerque Real Estate Talk, episode 545, end of July 2025. Tracy, a lot of topics this week. We're going to talk about what to do if your home is not selling and how to reset it, refresh it for the market. We've been doing this whole series for first-time home buyers, and we wanted to talk about things that buyers can negotiate in purchasing a home other
than price.
Yeah, exactly. Featured community is downtown Albuquerque. That was by a listener request, so we appreciate that. And I wanted to, there was a chart floating around, and it was how does real estate affect the economy is really the headline, but it shows what parts of the country where real estate is the dominant private industry. We're going to get into all of that. Tracy, where do you want to start this week?
Let's talk about the things buyers can negotiate besides price.
Okay.
Because we work with a lot of home buyers here in the Albuquerque metro area. And, we think price all the time, right? You can negotiate price. Not that you're going to get a discount off the price, but sometimes we do, right?
We've been doing this series for home buyers, but we wanted to get into this because there's so many, especially first-time home buyers, they don't know the process, and we want to give you just a few things you can think about as you're going through. Obviously, a realtor will help as well, right?
Yeah. So one of the things that we're doing right now, we have a home under contract with a veteran, and we negotiated the seller to pay a percentage of the sale price towards the buyer's closing costs, which are going to cover 100% of this buyer's closing costs. And for those of you who listen regularly, you know that a VA loan can be a zero down loan. So this particular veteran should be able to walk into that new home with pretty much no money out of pocket. And so we can negotiate some seller closing cost help, if the seller's willing.
So number one is closing costs.
Right. Second thing, some repairs or repair credit as we go through the process.
Yeah, one of the part of the process of the home purchase is this due diligence period. And due diligence means buyer's due diligence, checking out the home. It could be inspections, it could be confirming insurance is good, confirming that title is good, survey, all those little things. So there's all these different contingencies. I don't say the biggest one, but probably the one that is the biggest negotiation is repair requests.
Right.
So when you're purchasing a home, there's an inspection, correct, Tracy? Or maybe a series of inspections.
Usually 95% of the time or more.
Yeah, and part of that is reviewing those inspections and seeing if there's anything you want fixed or repaired prior to moving in by the seller.
Right, so that's a negotiation.
The other part of that is repairs. That can also be negotiated up front in the actual offer, correct, Tracy?
It can, or it could be a repair credit also. Money maybe towards buyer's closing costs or money towards something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The next one, the third one, is home warranty. This is a smaller dollar amount item, I guess, in many ways. However, it could be in conjunction with those repair credits or repair requests is having the seller purchase a home warranty for the buyer.
Right. When I see this most, Tego, is on older homes that maybe you do your home inspection and you find out that the water heater is old but still working, or the heater is old but still working. And it's one of those where you go, okay, maybe we can get this seller to pay for a home warranty. So if the water heater or something goes south after you buy the house, you might have some sort of comfort that you have a warranty.
And I know a lot of people they never buy any, extended warranty things. A home is different, so definitely look into warranties if you're going to be purchasing. Possession timeline is our fourth item, Tracy, and what does that mean?
Just the timing of when you're going to be moving into that new home. That's also a negotiating point that we can negotiate.
Another item is when you're purchasing a home, you're purchasing the real property, which is the building itself and everything attached to it. But there's also could be personal property, correct?
There could. And I love your definition or your explanation.
Yeah.
Can you do that?
It's not unique to me, but I love it. Personal property is anything you turn the house upside down and you shake it and it falls out. That's personal property. So that's even things like a refrigerator, washer, dryer, even a range. When we think about a home, we always think that the range is included, but technically it's personal property, but generally it's always included. But those things can be negotiated, even furniture sometimes, right? TVs, maybe some outdoor art even.
Yep, it's all, you have to strategize though and make sure it works if you have a loan. So we're careful about that. Next one.
Interest rate buy down. You want to get into that?
So rather than a price cut, sometimes we ask the seller to contribute to the mortgage interest rate buy down. This lowers your monthly payment a lot more than getting a better price on the home. So
Yeah, and I did the math on this a few weeks ago, but for example, a $10,000 discount on the purchase price, if you put that $10,000 toward buying down the mortgage rate, you may be getting more bang for the buck, and that's something you can work with your mortgage lender on. Obviously, if you're paying cash, it's irrelevant, but if you are getting a loan, it's definitely something you should look into. And again, it's something you could negotiate, and the seller is allowed to contribute a certain amount. There's limits on how much a seller contribute toward closing costs, which would be something like a mortgage rate buy down. But again, it's something else that buyer can negotiate.
right. And other things. So sometimes I did this recently. We negotiated that the seller to prepay 6 months of the homeowners association. My client was going to have two houses because she needed to sell to buy, but she
Right.
didn't want to sell before she bought. So she kept her house, bought her new house, and we said, you know, she's going to be a little bit tight for a few months. So we got the seller to cover 6 months of the homeowners association just to give her a little bit lower payment for those first few months while we then went and sold her house.
Yeah, so that's the seventh one. HOA or other special assessments that might be with the neighborhood. Again, that can be negotiated with the seller if need be. Generally, the buyer will take over any HOA fees from the point of moving in. It's something that can be negotiated that may get overlooked, and it's out there.
There's a lot of other things, Tego. A lot of them are title insurance or escrow fees, typically who pays for what. Termite treatment or pest control. Sometimes people have a pest control subscription where the buyer might need to take it over because they're in a contract, or maybe there's a alarm company that they have a subscription and the buyer might have to take it over. Those types of things and fees can be negotiated. Landscaping and cleaning, right? Making sure that we've negotiated what the property is going to look like. Making sure the systems are good, septic and well, that they have proper permitting and pass inspections.
So there's a lot of different things. I think that's really the takeaway here, right, Tracy?
Yeah, and just negotiations about a lot more than price. It can be about terms, timing, and peace of mind. So yeah.
No, good. If you got any questions about buying in the Albuquerque area, we're the Venturi Realty Group at 505-448-8888. You can visit our website at Welcome Home ABQ. You can find us on all the socials and all that good stuff as well if you want to reach out. So happy to help and answer any questions that you may have.
Perfect. Let's go back to why listings go stale, but what you can do about them to refresh it. So right now, Tego, we're seeing homes be on the market a little bit longer than they had been in the past.
Yeah, and we're still historically, it's not crazy. It's like 35 is the average days on market for homes that sold last month. And that's kind of in line with what you would expect.
So when a seller goes, well, the average is 35 days, I'm sitting at 60 days or 2 months or 3 months, they're going, something's not right, right? Because their house is taking longer to sell.
So what we wanted to talk about is how to refresh a home that has been on the market for a while and get it back out there to attract buyers' attention.
Right. So what are some actionable tips that we can put out here?
Well, the first thing I would say is, as a seller, there's a mind shift that should be going on. It should have happened already, but when you put your home on the market, it goes from the home you live in to a product.
Right.
That's a harsh reality to take on, especially, somebody like us. We've lived in our home 25 years, and all the memories and all the stuff that's happened over the years in that home, it's just way more than just a product. But set those memories aside and remember, you're now merchandising, right? You're now a marketer of this product. So that's mind shift is a big part of it.
So along with that, in the mind shift, Tego, you start to go, okay, why do new construction homes often furnish them and make them look beautiful, right? That's what we need to do when a house isn't selling. We take a step back and go, okay, let's look at it. What do we need to do to help a buyer envision being here and loving this home and wanting to buy it?
The place you start is first off mindset, but don't take it personally. Look at the market feedback that you did receive. And remember, it's not failure, it's just you haven't got it done yet. You have to disconnect. Again, review all showing feedback, we just talked about that. And look for clues that may have been holding it back.
Right.
Ask, was the price competitive? Was the product competitive? Meaning, was the condition, finishes, the staging, the presentation comparable to the homes that did sell? How do you compare to the homes that did sell while you're on the market? Were the photos good? And was the marketing on point?
Right.
So you start there. So,
right. So,
yep.
So maybe if you do a refresh, maybe you refresh your furniture, you get some fresh pillows, or you replace some bedspreads and some throw pillows or whatever, or you do some painting or some new carpet or whatever you've decided is holding your house back, and you refresh it, then maybe we refresh and update the photos.
And it could be curb appeal as well, right? Or did you say that?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
Could be the yard, curb appeal.
Yeah. Once all that's done, then you go photos. Refresh the photos.
Right.
People that have been looking for homes have probably gone over your home many, many times as they're looking
online. They've seen it.
Yes.
They recognize it.
They've seen it, they recognize it, and they're going, oh, I've already seen that home.
Or I've already seen that one online.
I've already seen, that's what I mean, online. I'm talking about online. I know, I'm talking about online, yeah.
You're saying they've passed it over and they recognize the photos. So what do you do about that?
You get new photos. You get a photo refresh. You maybe highlight some different spaces, rooms, indoor, outdoor views, scenes of the house versus what you had been using in the other.
So
go ahead.
What we've also seen is we've seen if there's not a major difference, right, or a minor difference, is just changing up the photo order and making a different photo, what we call the hero shot. The first one you see when you get on any search website, right?
Yeah.
Change it up. Put the backyard first. Put the covered portal first. We like to put the swimming pool first if there is a swimming pool versus at the end, because we want to say, hey, this house has a swimming pool.
Correct, yeah. And those first 5 photos are so key. So if you go to a website like Zillow, you'll see when you click on a property, you'll notice in homes.com and realtor.com and Redfin, like all the big websites basically do it the same way, our website too. You're going to get a 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 photos of the property, and then you can scroll deeper to see all 30 or however many photos there are.
So but shake it up a little bit.
Yeah, but those first 5 are key, right?
Right. We know that buyers everybody swipes quick, right? Yeah. So if your first few photos don't capture them and make them want to see more or see your house in person, then you need to change it up.
The intent is to get buyers that are online looking at homes to come and actually see the home in person.
Right.
Obviously, you want to be honest with your marketing. You don't want to use Photoshop to change something or something crazy like that. Obviously, if you're a realtor, you would probably lose your realtor license if you did stuff like that. But the other part of that is the remarks, the comments, or the description of the home, correct?
Yeah, sometimes telling a better story about it, highlighting different things can help. So some of the tips for a strong re-entry, Tego, don't just change the list price quietly. If you're going to change price, make sure it's a big announcement. It gets splashed out everywhere. Right?
Yeah.
And that's remarketing it and getting it out so that people who have maybe looked at your house online before, that it shows up in their news feed or their email or whatever site they're on, that it shows up again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think that's good. So yeah, there's just kind of a quick rundown. If you've got a home for sale and you're kind of frustrated on what's going on in the market, talk with your broker, talk about these different strategies to get it reboosted, relisted. There's one more little strategy, I'll just kind of, this is a little pro tip thing, is you can pause it on all the websites. So in New Mexico or here in central New Mexico in the multiple listing service, we have a status called withdrawn.
Right.
It means the property is still listed for sale. There's still a listing agreement between the seller and the listing broker. However, we pause the marketing, we take it off of all the websites. And what that does, when you do bring it back on in a few days, a week, or whatever it is, it's going to come up for buyers is maybe something fresh, something new. Even though it will show total days on market, it does feel like a fresh listing many times, and it'll get some new attention. You know, we know, Tracy, the first 2 weeks are critical when we put a home on the market. That's why we do so much upfront work to make sure people get it, because that's when it's going to get the most attention. So you're refreshing that as well.
So the closing takeaway for sellers, you know, we've always heard, Tego, you only get one first impression, but if you do a good reset and relaunch it, you're going to be in a much better position, and you do get that first impression over and again.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Okay, so we're going to talk about downtown Albuquerque.
Yes, we had a listener request to talk about downtown Albuquerque.
So this wasn't on your agenda, but this week, I was fortunate to work with a home seller, list her house in what I consider downtown Albuquerque, considered the area for our multiple listing service. It was on 13th Street, close to Mountain Road. And we were fortunate to close on that house this week. And I went over to help the seller on her last day. And a neighbor stopped by. And it was really interesting because the neighbor recognized me from my picture on the sign, and he said, well, let's talk about real estate. And he was like, I love this neighborhood. I love living downtown. I love where we're at. And he started naming all his favorite places that he can walk to. And my seller was like, yep, I go there. Yep. He said there's like 5 coffee shops within walking distance of where he lives, which my seller said the same thing. There's grocery, there's transit. My client rides the bus, and the bus lines were great. So lots of virtue of living in the downtown area. So let's go through some of what you've researched.
Yeah, well, let's start off with some of the housing. So first off, if we define downtown, and when we think of downtown, we think of that core downtown where a lot of the city hall is,
like Central Avenue.
and the courthouses are, and Central and all along there. But when we think of downtown Albuquerque from a real estate standpoint, really it goes all the way to the river, to the west, to the interstate, to the east. That would be I-25.
Both interstates,
yeah,
really.
And then I-40 south all the way down into Borales, for example. So it's a broad area because it encompasses Old Town, Sawmill, the downtown proper,
Albuquerque
East Downtown, Albuquerque Country Club. Yeah, exactly. So it's a large area. But let me just give you some quick stats. In Albuquerque downtown, there were 181 homes that sold in the last 181. Again, that's in that area. We call area 80 in our multiple listing service, and you'll find that in a lot of places. We'll call it that. But condos were 21% of those sales. So just for perspective, in the entire metro Albuquerque area, condos are only 3% of the sales.
So the bulk of them are downtown.
Yeah, the bulk of the condos in our market are in that downtown area.
So I was thinking about the condos, just to move off your stats for a second. And I was thinking about all the condos I've shown in downtown, and all of a sudden I was like, well, there's a lot of them. So I made notes. Copper Lofts, the Gym Lofts at Albuquerque High School.
Yep.
Rococo condos, the Park Plaza condos, the Arno Lofts, the Belvedere Urban Courtyard Living, the Anastasi condos, and the Bank Lofts. Just to name a few. There are others, but I started going. So
the Park Plaza, that's the one that's like I'm going to call it old school, high-rise, luxury condos, right?
Albuquerque Country Club condos. There's 2 of them right there, Park Plaza, and then the other one, I can't think of the name. Can I tell another story?
Sure.
Okay, so I used to live in Albuquerque Country Club. My aunt and uncle lived there, and they were members at Albuquerque Country Club. And their good friend lived in the Park Plaza condos, and she had a double on the penthouse. So she actually bought 2 units and took out the wall. Wow. She had a phenomenal view of both directions, downtown and to the river, west side. She'd get sunrise and sunsets, and she had beautiful tea set. And I remember I was in college and she invited me over, and I was blown away. It was just phenomenally beautiful. So
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. So yeah, I mean, let's just talk about the homes down there. The smallest home that sold last year in that area was 486 square feet.
Was it a condo or a home?
It was one of the Albuquerque lofts, the old high school.
I've shown some of the lofts, and some of them are very small.
Yeah,
they're not 1 bedroom.
Yeah.
They're studios.
And the largest home that sold in what we call the downtown area was 3,890 feet, basically 3,900 square feet.
That's it?
Yeah, and I'm assuming that was in the country club area, the Albuquerque Country Club area. I didn't look at it
It could have
specifically.
been, in that area just east of Old Town where there's a lot of big 2 stories and
True.
some with basements and things. But yeah.
Yeah, so statistics-wise, the median price of homes in downtown is lower than the entire metro area. However, the price per square foot is higher
Huh.
because you have a little bit smaller homes, you have more condos,
Oh.
so price per square foot is a little bit higher.
Kind of skews it from the condos.
Yeah, exactly. So let's just talk about like real estate or living in downtown Albuquerque.
Sure.
So-
not a lot of nightlife, a lot of restaurants, bars, right? There's the Ex Novo, there's
So it's let's just in comparison, if you're living on the west side, right? Just for an example, anywhere in a-
walkability is very, very different.
well, it's a vibrant downtown scene, right? It is an urban scene. It is the most urban scene there is in New Mexico, really,
Yeah.
right? And so it is. It's
I mean, the Chemo Theater,
yeah,
galleries, shops,
Yep.
restaurants, a lot of businesses too.
Mm-hmm.
People work downtown.
yep. A lot of arts and culture scene for sure. There's galleries. You go up to Nob Hill, which is kind of outside of downtown, but it's just up central. You've got that as well.
Yeah.
And there's the real estate part. There's a lot of unique homes, like the one you just recently sold.
Right. It was a very old adobe, very small, wood floors, but very quaint, had a lot of charm for sure.
Speaking of the oldest home that sold in downtown Albuquerque last year was built in 1890.
Wow, where'd you get that stat?
I got it from our multiple listing service. So,
Ah.
and obviously downtown Albuquerque is where Albuquerque started. So you do have a lot of those older homes. You have a lot of unique homes. You have some of those Victorian style homes. You have some of those historic adobes.
The little Watson adobes that are down there?
Exactly. So you have a whole variety of housing as part of what we consider the downtown, from single family homes to, again, the multifamily, like
One of the
condos and
things
townhomes. Yeah.
that I was reminded about yesterday is the tight-knit community, right? Especially if you're living in a condo and you see people in your hallway and getting in and out of the building and you get to know your community. But even just like the example I gave where the neighbor walked over and said hello and we chit-chatted, it was lovely. We were a stone's throw from Sawmill and Old Town and downtown, and it was just really lovely. It felt very community oriented.
The other thing that I think about when I think about the downtown and kind of really the central corridor is the commuting, right?
Yeah.
From a public transportation standpoint, Albuquerque's okay, but if you're on that central corridor, you've got a lot of options. We have the Albuquerque Rapid Transit. We have an amazing bike path system, especially in that part of town.
Yep.
So there is relatively easy commuting. When you look at the walk score in the Albuquerque area, downtown is very high. I think Nob Hill is actually a little bit higher, but the walk score is the rating on how walkable is a particular area or a particular home.
Yep. So lots of love. I loved living down in that area, and I would ride my bike a lot and just go ride through Old Town or ride through those old little Watson adobe streets and see the Victorians and go down Laguna Boulevard, which was always beautiful.
Let's go through some of the landmarks that are part of the downtown scene.
So a lot of landmarks and highlights.
Yeah, let's go through that. I'm going to start with Alvarado Transportation Center, which is the old train station, but we talked about Albuquerque Rapid Transit. That's where the buses come through. But you also have the train, the Rail Runner train, which is the one that goes between Santa Fe and Belen. So you can go north-south in New Mexico. Obviously, Amtrak comes through there as well if you really want to do the long ride. So there is that. And also Greyhound goes through there as well.
Right.
So it is the transportation hub for Albuquerque.
Right.
Right. Civic Plaza.
Yeah. Lots of activities take place at Civic Plaza. There's good parking underneath it, so you don't have to worry about parking downtown if you're going to something there. They do the Saturday night kind of thing the city does
Yep.
on Civic Plaza.
Yep.
And just other events and concerts, making
Yeah.
it a real nice community space.
Of course, there's Old Town, which is we'll call it the tourist trap of Albuquerque. I don't know if it's a trap, but it's where people go when they come to Albuquerque. They haven't been there before. They go to Old Town. There's a lot of cool stuff around there, of course.
Shops.
And on the plaza, there's events and concerts and all kinds of stuff going on there.
And usually there's somebody in the gazebo doing photos there, wedding photos or something, right?
I know a couple that did wedding photos in that
Oh,
gazebo.
that would be us, yeah.
Yeah.
Also in the Old Town area, right, there's a lot of shops, restaurants, galleries, a lot of local. I drove through there the other day because I was down in that 13th Street house, and I thought, I'm going to drive through Old Town. I just love going around the plaza and just checking it out. Lots of new local shops have opened up, so it's good to see it thriving. Okay, so the biopark and the zoo.
Yeah,
right?
and
The
when
aquarium.
we say biopark, the way Albuquerque classifies that, it's a series of
Series. It
series?
encompasses the zoo and the
series?
aquarium and the
It's-
botanical garden.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, I'm mumbling and you're talking. So the zoo, the botanic garden, the aquarium, Tingley Beach I think falls in there as well.
Right.
So yeah, a lot of great options there. The botanic garden is amazing. The aquarium is awesome, especially with kids. And
Right.
of course the zoo.
A great zoo.
Yeah,
We
no,
have a
I mean
great
it
zoo.
is. Yeah.
They have the Friday night at the zoo concert series all summer, and
Yeah.
Thursday night is at the botanical garden.
Yeah.
Live music. It's lovely.
So Tingley Beach, a small little pond, lake, what would you call it? And it's got
Water.
fishing and it's a park, right? It's lots of, walking areas right around there.
Right.
But then the Bosque Trail.
Right. For walking, biking, it connects to everything, but it's
Yeah.
along the river.
Yep.
Not that you see the river. It's in
Yeah.
the Bosque,
Yeah.
but huge number of miles that are paved, right?
Yeah, 16 miles. It goes from the South Valley all the way up to actually at our office up here in the North Valley
Right.
at Alameda. So yeah, that's a real gem in the area. So a couple other things like the Sawmill District, that's really come up, and you've got a whole variety there. You've got the homes in the Sawmill area, but you also have some of those historic homes near the Sawmill area.
Right.
There's a lot going on there. And I think the last thing that may be overlooked is the fact that from there you're relatively close to the river, the Rio Grande.
Right.
And so you can get down there. There's path within the Bosque where you can walk around, lots of different open space options as well.
I think the Route 66, the whole nostalgia of Central Avenue being Route 66 and seeing old signage and neon and just kind of the reminiscing of the days that have gone
Yeah.
by and the businesses and things. It's just charming when you take the time to really look around and see things. Obviously, there's some cons to downtown. We didn't need to
Yeah,
cover
of
that.
course. No, I'm
The
afraid
news
not.
probably covers.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously some frustrations and there's some trade-offs for sure. I still want to highlight downtown and what's going on.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, good stuff.
Okay.
So open houses, we definitely have open houses this weekend. We'll send out Instagram blurb on Friday to tell you where they're at. Of course, we'd be happy to show you any house. All you have to do is give us a call or hop on our website and hit us up there. Let us know what you want to see. We'll help you out, get it done. We'll also be posting all the open houses because sometimes it's fun just to go look at houses and get ideas and things. But we're going to be hitting August crazy tomorrow.
Yep.
And wow, kids back in school and all those changes. So, but people are still buying and selling, and we're here to help. Awesome.
Well, thanks everybody. Thanks for listening. We've got a little bit different studio set up this week. We didn't even talk about it, but
Oh, that's right.
yeah.
We were doing a lot of videoing in our office this week, so we have it all set up for that, and just decided to run with it this week.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. If you want to reach us, we're the Venturi Group of Real Broker 505-448-8888. Take care.